Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to give you a tour of my Google Sheets goal planner template. I created this spreadsheet based on the method that I use to accomplish my own goals. I've been using this method for years, so hopefully you like it and you find it useful. And if you don't have the template already, you can find the link to purchase it in the description, but you can also just watch this video to get inspired and create your own spreadsheet or maybe even do this on paper. So let's get into it. So this is what the template is going to look like when you first receive it. It's going to be completely blank and it includes two main tabs. So you get your 12-month calendar tab and then you get your goal planner tab. So let's start with the 12-month calendar tab. I added this so you could have a place where you can brainstorm your goals for the next 12 months. Nothing that you add here is set in stone. This isn't connected to anything. It's just a way for you to get things out of your head so your mind can be clear before moving forward. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to set the month and the year in which you want your calendars to begin. So it can be any month, any year. And once you add that, you're going to see that dates for each month get filled automatically. Right now it's October 2025 and the current day is going to be highlighted automatically in your calendars. And you can start in the middle of the year or you can start in January 2026, for example. This is going to keep on working every single year. The calendars will get filled automatically. And once you select the start month, you're going to go ahead and you're going to jump into every single one of these sections and you're going to fill them out with anything that's floating around in your head, any goal that you have for the next 12 months. And it doesn't matter how crazy it is. If it's in your heart, you add it in here. So let's say you want to go see the Northern Lights in December, you're going to type that here. Then maybe you want to reach your healthy weight by May, so you can add that as well. So you can add whatever you want here, treat it as a wish list. It can be about money, it can be about health, relationships, anything that's floating around in your head, you add it in here. And once you're done with that, you're gonna take a look at everything that you wrote down and you're gonna decide what are the things that you're gonna be working on next. Your list is saved right here, but you can't do everything at once. You have to decide what you're gonna start with. So you're gonna take a look at your list. You're gonna pick a maximum of 5 goals and you're gonna jump into your goal planner tab and you're gonna add them into this section right here. So for our first goal, let's say we want to do get healthier. So I'm just going to add that up here. And then on this cell down below, you're going to double click here and you're going to use this calendar that appears to set a deadline. And you're going to notice that as I was adding my first goal, this section got filled automatically. So you're going to see that same goal up here. You're going to see the deadline that you set and then the number of days left is going to be updating automatically every single day. And the same thing is going to happen for our second goal. So I'm just going to add that here. I'm going to double click to set a deadline. And then the same information showed up here. So as you can see, there's room for 5 goals per tab. And then every single goal gets its own section. So you don't have to use all 5. You can do 2, you can do 3, but there's a maximum of 5 goals per tab. So I'm just going to add one more. So once you're done setting your goals, you're going to work on each one individually and create a plan to make it a reality. So each of your 5 goals gets its own section. They all look exactly the same. So the way I structured this layout is I really wanted to create a space where you could both connect emotionally with your goal, with your vision, get inspired, but also break it down and create a plan for the specific things that you need to do to make it happen. So this first section right here is meant for that emotional connection side of it, for your vision, for inspiration, and then this second section is meant to help you create a plan for the specific things that you need to do to make this happen. So I'm going to walk you through an example of how this could look like once you fill it out. You're going to start by typing in the area of your life. It can be anything you want. I'm going to do personal, and then you're going to leave this empty. You're going to fill this out once you actually accomplish your goal. You double click here, you set the date in which you accomplished it, and as you can see, this gets scratched automatically. So that's just a nice automation, but we're going to delete it for now. And then you're going to jump into this section right here, and you're going to imagine what your life will look like when you accomplish this. How will you feel? And that's always been key for me when it comes to accomplishing my own goals. I like to start by writing down a sentence that I can constantly come back to that's going to help me stay connected to that vision, to those feelings, and just really stay connected to my goal. So I'm just going to type in a sentence for this goal. So for the example, the goal is to get healthier. And what I wrote here is I lost weight and feel a lot better. My clothes fit better. I no longer crave sugar. I sleep better and I feel feel less stressed. And as you can see, I'm talking about these things as if they have already happened. And then this second section down here, the question is, why do you want this? So I like to use this space to remind myself why this goal is important. Why did I even set it in the first place, and why I should be willing to put in all this effort. And I find this useful because as time goes by, you start working on your goal, you start doing all the things that you should be doing to accomplish it, and then you hit a roadblock, you hit an obstacle, and it's very easy to lose sight of why you even started in the first place and why it's important to keep going in spite of the obstacles. So from the beginning, I like to really connect with my why, write it down so that I can come back here and read it when things get hard. And again, I'm gonna add an example. So I wrote, my body is my home and I only get one in this lifetime. If I don't take care of it today, I know I will regret it in the future and there's no going back. So these are the things that work for me. If you want to use this for something else, you can absolutely do that. This is just an example. And then for each of your goals, ideally, you should have a way of measuring success. So anything that's numeric that will help you know that you reached those goals, you're going to add that here. So I'm just going to add an example. So for this particular goal, you could measure success by reaching a personal healthy weight or a certain percentage of body fat or any other measurement that has anything to do with your goal or your particular situation. Just an example, completely optional, and you can use this however you prefer. And then if you scroll down, you're going to find the space meant for links and inspiration. You can add whatever you want in here. It can be images, it can be text, it can be links to useful resources. So let me show you an example of what that could look like. So I added a couple of images, some links. These are actually my two favorite YouTube channels for workouts. And then I also added a link to some healthy snack ideas. So you can pretty much do whatever you want here. This is a free space. If you don't know how to add images into Google Sheets, it's very easy. All you have to do is select the cell in which you want to add your image and then click on Insert Image, insert image in cell, and then you can find that image on your computer, or you can just drag and drop it in here. And as you can see, I merged a couple of rows together. You can do that by selecting multiple rows and then clicking on this merge cells button over here so that your space is bigger. So this is a free space. You can do whatever you want in here, make it your own. And now that we're done with this first section right here, we're gonna jump into our second section that's meant to help us create an actual plan to make this happen. And we're going to start with our habits. So for this section, you're really going to think about what are the things that you need to incorporate into your daily routine that will support you on your journey towards achieving this goal. So those small things that you need to do consistently, you're going to write them here, and then you're going to add the frequency, how often you need to do them. So let me show you an example. So I did yoga, Pilates, healthy meals 5 times per week, drinking more water, no soda or sugary snacks, planning my meals once per week, and then waking up early every single day so I have time to do all these things. And once you're done with your list of habits, you're going to scroll down and you're going to break down your goal into the specific things that you need to do to make it happen, and you're going to add a deadline to each one. So you're going to add that list in this space right here. This is going to be the roadmap that future you is going to follow. So let's say you want to start by getting rid of sugary snacks. So you're going to add that here. And then you're going to add a deadline. So you're going to double click on this cell and you're going to set a date. So I'm going to fill this out a bit more. So I added a list of the things that you could do if you were trying to get healthier, and I added a deadline to each one. As I mentioned, this is the roadmap that future you is going to follow. And as you can see, a couple of dates are being highlighted in a different color. This is going to happen automatically. They're going to turn red whenever a date has already passed and you haven't checked the box. And then if there's a deadline for the current day and you haven't checked the box, that's going to be highlighted in this color. And now it's October 23. I continued filming the next day. That's why it's getting highlighted in this color. And the template is not tied to any particular month or a year, so you can add any deadline that you want as far ahead in the future as you need. And then whenever you're done with one of these things, you're going to go ahead, you're going to check the box, and you're going to see how your progress bar moves automatically until it's complete. So each of your 5 goals gets its own section and they all work exactly the same way. You're going to go through this same process for each of your 5 goals. As I mentioned, you don't have to do all 5 of them. You can do less. So as you can see, I filled this out with a couple more examples. I did new income source, and then I did clean and organized home. So once you're done going through this exercise for each of your goals, you're going to scroll all the way to the very end of the spreadsheet and you're going to take a look at the summary summaries that get created automatically. You don't have to do anything here. This is just for your own reference. The spreadsheet is going to gather some of the information that you added and it's going to display it all together. So the first summary is the summary of the habits that you need to commit to. So every single habit that you add for each individual goal. So this ones, and these ones, they are all going to be pulled together and they are going to be displayed in a single list. So as I mentioned, you don't have to do anything here, but you can order it by habit, you can order it by frequency, or you can order it by the goal that these habits are related to. So as you can see, every single habit that I added to my Get Healthier goal is now together, and then new income source, clean and organized home. So what I like most about this template is that I can focus on one goal at a time, and then I'm going to see everything together in a single table. So this is my habits list and I can use it to decide what are the things that I'm going to be implementing in my life. If this is a long list, you're probably not going to want to start with absolutely everything at the same time. And to help you make that decision, I also included this grouped habits list summary. And what's going to happen here is that you're going to get a counter for the number of times that this habit showed up across all of your goals. And it's going to be sorted so that the habits that show up the most are going to be displayed at the top. So if you need to prioritize, it's a great idea to start with the ones that are showing up the most. So once you've decided on the habits that you're going to start with, you can go ahead and add them into whatever habit tracking method you prefer to use. It can be on paper or it could be another spreadsheet. And then if you scroll to the right, you're going to find a summary of your pending action steps. So as you may recall, for every single one of our goals, we added a list of the things that we needed to do to make this happen. And then we assigned deadlines to each one. And we did the same thing for every single one of our goals. So again, we focused on one goal at a time. And then if you want to see every single one of these steps together in a single list, you can do that in the summary right here. And again, this is just for your own reference. There's nothing that you need to do here, and by default this table will be sorted so that the closest deadline is always at the top. Again, if something is overdue, it's going to be shown in red, and if something is due today, it's going to be shown in this color. Again, I'm filming the next day, so now it's October 24, and you'll only see the deadlines that do not have a box checked. So if I go back here and I check these two boxes, for example, and I go back to my list, they disappeared. So you're only going to be seeing pending deadlines in this table, and you'll also be able to see the goal that they are related to and the number of days left till this deadline. And as I mentioned, it's sorted by deadline, but you can also sort it by the action step that you added, or you can sort it by the goal that they are related to. And then my favorite feature is the calendar view. So this same list of pending actions, you can display that in this calendar right here. And it's going to be initially empty, so you get to decide the date in which you want this calendar to begin. So for example, our first deadline right here, it's January 5. So if I wanted that to be the first day that's displayed in my calendar, I'm going to double click on this set start date cell, and then I'm going to pick January 5 as my first day. And as you can see, the calendar gets filled automatically with dates, and then every single deadline is going to show up in its corresponding day. And you can keep on changing this date as often as you need. So I can change this to January 12th, and then the calendar updates automatically. So this calendar is dynamic, and you get to decide the date in which you want it to begin, and it'll display your pending deadlines only. If you check the box for something, then that's done and it won't show up in this calendar. And then I added one additional feature to help you focus your attention only on the things that are upcoming, so that if you're seeing this big list, you can focus your attention just on a few things. So I'm very quickly going to edit the list so I can have a couple of dates that are close to my current day. So as I mentioned, today is October 24 for me now, and I added a couple of deadlines for the upcoming days. So let's say I wanted to focus my attention just on the upcoming 3 days. So what you're going to do is you're going to jump into this cell right here, and you're going to set the number 3, and you're going to press enter. And what's going to happen is that only the tasks that are set for the next 3 days are going to be highlighted. They're going to include the current day and then 2 more days. And the same thing is going to happen in the calendar. So if I scroll to the calendar and I set the current day as my start date, you're going to see that the current day is highlighted in this different color, and then 2 more days are highlighted in gray, just like in this list. If I wanted to do 5 days, for example, now 2 more days are getting highlighted here, and then 2 more days are getting highlighted here. And if for some reason you don't want the calendar to include this highlight feature, you can just go ahead and uncheck this box, and the highlight will be gone from the calendar, but it will remain on this list. So I find this useful because sometimes it's a bit overwhelming to see the whole thing all at once. So you can really narrow it down and highlight the things that are due in the next 5, 10, or whatever number of days you prefer to set in here. And if you want to delete this, you can just go ahead, click on this cell and press delete on your keyboard, and the highlight will be gone. So that's pretty much it. Those are all the features that are included. You start by setting your goals in this section right here, adding a deadline to each one, and then you're going to work on each goal individually. You're going to connect emotionally with your goal and create your vision in this section right here. And then you're going to work on a plan to make it happen by adding your habits and specific actions in this section right here. You can use the checkboxes to track your progress. And then once you're done with your goal, you can jump back in here, double click, and set the date in which you accomplished it, and it'll get scratched. And you can also change the title to something more inspiring, like My Dream Life, for example. And as I mentioned, there's a limit of 5 goals per tab. I did this on purpose to help you really focus your attention and your energy on just a few things instead of trying to do everything at once. So in this template, you need to prioritize and decide on a maximum of 5 things that you're going to be working on next. And when you're ready to start on a new set of 5 goals, what you're going to do is you're going to jump into this tab right here, GP. GP stands for Goal Planner. You're going to right click on this tab name, and you're going to select the option Duplicate. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a new blank tab so that you can start fresh. If you double click on the tab name, you can rename it, and then you can keep going and follow the exact same process. So this tab right here, it has a lock in it because you shouldn't edit it. It's just there to help you create new copies. And then if you wanted another copy of the 12-month calendar, you're going to jump into this C tab right here. C stands for calendar. You're going to right click and you're going to duplicate it as well. So it's the exact same process. These 2 tabs are just your blank originals and are there whenever you need to create new blank copies. And super important, once you set the start month in this calendar, you shouldn't change it again, because if you do, the dates will change, but whatever you wrote will remain where it is. So if you need to keep going on a new set of 12 months, the proper way to do that is to create a new copy using this calendar tab. And if you're not into pink, that's totally fine. You can change the theme color by clicking on Format, Theme, and then Customize, and then you can change the colors that I added from this section right here. So my suggestion is that if I added a darker shade of pink, you change it for a darker shade of whatever color you're choosing, just so that your fonts don't get lost. So if you see a light shade, you change it for a light shade as well. And as I've mentioned, the template is not tied to any particular month or year, so you can set any deadline that you want, and you can start over on a new tab as often as you need. Personally, I enjoy doing it every quarter, but you can do it as often as you need. And if you would like to change any of the labels that appear throughout the template, you can do that very easily by jumping into the Customize Here tab and then using these Your Translation columns to change any label that you want, and it'll update throughout the template. So for example, let's do what does accomplishing this look like instead? And if you jump into your Goal Planner tab, you're going to notice that this label changed everywhere. So if you need to change it to a different language, for example, you can do that here as well. If you want to change the wording, you can do that here as well. So that's just a bonus feature that I added. And then you can decide if your 12-month calendars will start on Sunday or Monday from this section as well. So you can do that using this drop down. If I switch it to Monday and I jump into my calendars, they will now start on Monday. So that's just a couple features that are completely optional, but there if you need them. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, I'm gonna leave my email in the description. And if you would like to purchase a template, I'm gonna leave the link to it in the description as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.